back home with shape. That's the degree and well, then, and we have okay. Patient people. Yeah. Impatient for don't show up.
Well, we will you take one. You have to sit side like that. That's okay. Man, I wish I was still that way.
Okay, at this time, I want to welcome everybody to our press conference. On behalf of the Shenendehowa Athletic Department, I want to welcome everybody here to Shenendehowa High School. This is our library in High School East. We conduct a lot of we do our Division I signings here. We do a lot of our things that bring out the press. We do it right here in High School East. At this time, I just want to remind you, if you could, well, if you got cell phones, make sure they're on vibrate. And I'll give you kind of a little bit of order how this is going to work here today. This press conference was called here to talk a little bit about Coach Steurwald's future and the future of the Shenendehowa football program. Coach Steurwald's going to make a statement. That will be followed by Dr. Robinson, who will make a statement. I'll follow up, make a short statement on behalf of the athletic department. And then we'll go from there. There's a copy of Coach Steurwald's biographical information up there if you need it, which outlines his career over 45 years at Shenendehowa. I do want to take a second. I want to introduce a few people in attendance with us here who have come out for what's going to be a pretty significant occasion. We have one of our Board of Education members with us, our Board of Education Vice President Rick Mincher is over here with us, and we appreciate Rick coming out. We have members of our current staff with us, the junior varsity staff. We have Eric Lewicki and Ryan Fett, who's the head coach of the junior varsity, over here with us. And behind us, we have members of Coach Steurwald's varsity staff, which includes Jim Ward, Brian Clausen, Mike O'Toole, who actually was a former player of Brent's, and Mark McQuaid, who's the longest tenured member of Coach Steurwald's staff with 18 years. We have a couple members of the varsity football team with us. Ted Van Galen is over to my right. Mark Thomas and Tony Fusco is with us. Okay. After we do the statements on behalf of Coach Steurwald, Dr. Robinson, and myself, we'll have an opportunity for questions. There's certainly going to be questions. I appreciate everybody's over the last few days. As you can see, it's been a big media turnout for this. It's a big, important event for our school community, and everybody's been respectful of the fact that we're still trying to conduct practice. We're still trying to conduct the beginning of our season, and I think we appreciate the media's efforts to kind of meet us here today so that a lot of those questions could be answered. The players, the coaches will also be available afterwards when we're done if anybody's looking to get a comment or statement from the players or from any of the coaches who work with Brent or Dr. Robinson. Okay, so at this time, our long-standing veteran coach, Brent Steurwald, I'd like to introduce him and give him the floor.
Hello. Kind of a sad but inevitable day. A very long tenure here, 54 years total coaching, 7 years in Olean, New York, 3 years in Glens Falls, and 44 here. This is the 44th, my 45th, because I came here with the opportunity to be the school's first director of physical education, director of athletics. And in my interview process, I had the question about football. And I had said that if I was fortunate enough to be offered this opportunity, I will do everything I can to initiate a football program. And furthermore, if I initiate it, I will coach it. And I said, probably. I'll retire as athletic director before I would retire as head football coach. That was truly prophetic because I retired in 1997 as director of athletics, and this is my 14th year continuing onward. I never realized until I was in that position the opportunity that I have to put the time on task that I've done these 14 years. It's been a great privilege to still be totally associated with the school system and still be involved as a head coach. There is no good time to say this is the end, but it is inevitable, and I've often said that I would want to leave this program at a very strong point. We've had a history of success. I felt each decade there's been an opportunity to have a run of 3, 4, 5 years of outstanding performance by a whole lot of kids and coaches that have allowed us to be where we are as a leader in the state in terms of victories and percentage and so on. We have this year, perhaps without question, the largest turnout of interest in football in my entire tenure. We have well over 250 kids that want to play football at the 4 levels. Modified, which is our only grade 8, not 7 and 8, just grade 8. I think we have 60 plus at grade 9. We have high 50s and the varsity and mid 50s in the JV. That's a lot of kids that want to be part of Shenendehowa football history. I'm very proud of that. The strength of the program will continue. It's built around a lot of tradition, a lot of successful efforts by kids and coaches. I have been very fortunate to have great longevity on my coaching staff. George Ansley, Gene Stefanacci were with me for more than 30 years each. And then they kind of flake out, you know, they just left after that time. No staying power, but then I had other coaches come in who have made that same commitment. Some of them who have left that now are head coaches, like John Bowman up in Boston Spa. And I'm very good friends with John. He's very good friends with me, but believe me, that's one of the people we want to be. And they have the same desire. So I think that it's very fortunate to have camaraderie, coaches that are on my staff that have been as loyal and committed as they have. Had a great cadre of kids. Each one of them in their own way has been a special part of my life and never to be forgotten. So this year becomes special for me, special for the kids. We have a talented group. We're going to give it every effort we can. I know that I will not leave a stone unturned to try to be as good as we can possibly be. So that's my statement, and I hope that I can answer any questions that you may come up with about past, present, or future, and leave it up to Dr. Robinson.
We're going to give Dr. Robinson an opportunity to just say something on behalf of the school community.
Great, thank you very much. Coach, 3 words come to mind when I think of you. I've had a good fortune of knowing you now for the past 6 years. 3 words, and I put them in priority order. First, gentleman, scholar, and coach. And ironically, most people think I would put coach first, but I would put coach third. You're a tremendous gentleman, someone who's been a model for our student athlete, as someone to grow up to be as an individual, as a man. And we have seen countless numbers of boys that you have turned into men, and men who still to this day admire you for your leadership and your modeling as a gentleman. As a scholar, anyone who knows you with any conversation know that you bring tremendous wisdom to the school community and to our program. And as a coach, your record speaks for itself. And as I sit here and think about the tremendous privilege I have as superintendent to be in the presence of someone who's truly a living legend. You know, oftentimes people say, I'm a legend in my own time, but you're truly a living legend, an icon who, quite frankly, we cannot replace. We can only hope that we can carry on your legacy that you have built over the past 40 plus years at Shen. Coach, you appreciate it, you're admired, and you will forever be tied to the Shen program. Not only because the stadium is in your name, but because everything that stands for Shen football, people always know that it's because of Brent Steurwald. So, Coach, I say thank you very much for your tremendous service to this community, all the players and young guys who are behind you, and personally, my own kid who's in this program, they all look up to you, admire you, and know the legacy that you're leaving behind. So you can certainly know that you know that this program is going to be better because of what you did. So, Coach, thank you very much. And most of all, God bless you in your future. Thank you, Coach.
I would just like to echo a lot of the same comments that Dr. Robinson made. It goes without saying that today's a significant day for our athletic department. 5 years ago, I had the privilege of taking over the athletic department, and I met Brent right away. We've had a very strong relationship. We've had a great friendship. This has been a difficult time, I think, for Brent to have conversations about how this is all going to unfold, and he's been a gentleman throughout this entire process, and we appreciate everything that he's done for our student athletes. And it's thousands of student athletes that Brent has had an impact on over the course of his 40-plus years at Shenendehowa. There's very few individuals who I run into who don't tell me about a great story about Coach Steurwald and what he's meant to them and to Shenendehowa. I will tell you that Coach Steurwald has been a great mentor for folks like myself. He's a former athletic director, he's a former coach. He's just done a tremendous amount to help out everybody he comes in contact with, not only within our school community, but also across Section 2 and across New York State. And I think if you look around the room and you see the number of media that comes out, it shows you Brent's significance to sports, into high school, into athletics, into education, and what education and the word student athlete is all about. So again, we're just very appreciative of all Brent's efforts that he's done, and we're going to wish him the best this year, and we know it's going to be a great season. So, okay? Yep. Okay, you got it. At this time, we'll open it up if there's questions out there.
Coach,
Yes.
I know it's been intimated, but you didn't actually say, "This is my last season."
I will always bleed green. Let's put it that way.
But this is your last season.
It is my last and final season as head coach at Shenendehowa. I hope I have a lot of football issues for me into the future that I can involve myself in. I've been very fortunate to have the opportunity to travel the country and the world talking football to people and supported by the NFL and the National Football Foundation for coaching academies and that type of thing. Many times over the years, we've had some German coaches come over when we had taken 5 trips to Germany to teach the American football skills and techniques to them over there, as well as Japan and Mexico, and just recently up in Canada. Those are great opportunities. I've served on 3 different national committees and had the chance to visit places in the country. I don't know how all those things occurred, for a high school coach. That's a little bit unique. I am doing some writing, which I think has been a great asset. That's been something that keeps me busy, and I hope it will in the future. I've had a few articles published by the American Football Monthly, which is the premier football magazine throughout the world, but certainly within this country. As a high school coach, that earlier on this year, they had a coach from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, who I've seen in school and know was on the cover of that because he was just the national champion that year, and he just retired. They did an article on my article on coaching organization and practice planning, and I was on the cover as well. That's a great honor for a high school coach. How does that kind of thing happen? I am in the process, in fact, I'll tell you something. If I don't have anything else to do, I'm going to write a book. I can tell you what the book is. It's Not Easy Being Green. And it'll give me a chance to express adventures and all the kids, the coaches, the whole deal. So I hope to continue doing coaching clinics. I certainly will be very interested in the future of Shenendehowa football and watching the progress of kids. I am thrilled that I had the chance to coach on the turf field and the new stadium look. I think it's a beautiful spot. I know there are other good high school stadiums and facilities, but I don't think there's any better. And its proximity to the Northway, the ease of parking, the access, finally having bathrooms instead of porta potties, things of that nature. It's wonderful. I'm very proud of the Football Wall of Fame. A lot of people have looked at that. In fact, Ithaca College, where Mark graduated from, and Brent, their head coach is going to try to replicate that as an NCO down in Ithaca. That's nice that you can do things that have a positive influence on other people, other venues, other situations. So life is like that pebble cast on the water. I hope I made a lot of ripples.
Coach?
Yes,
Brent, during a story back in 2007, you said, I'd like to coach about 4 more years. Have you known that long that this was going to be your final year? Has that been the plan, or was that just a
No.
comment at the point in time?
that was just a comment.
Yeah.
And I think it was perhaps because I was looking at the renovation of the stadium, the additional things that we now have to offer. And as I said, I would really have been disappointed if I didn't have the chance to coach within that facility, and the kids love it, the coaches love it, it's exciting, and I think it's going to be a major venue for sectional level events for many, many decades to come.
Coach, on Monday, one of your players, Mark, referred to you as, quote, like a god. How does that make you feel?
Well, I can't stop thunder and lightning. But once in a while, they can hold the rain back. And, you know, the word example is probably more fitting, but that's what they want to say.
Coach, last month when we talked about this, you said you didn't have any regrets. I don't even want to talk about wins and losses. When you think back on your career, what are you most proud of? And it doesn't have anything to do with actual probably the games. I guess I'm more interested in the relationships.
Like we put down on a t-shirt, little mottos all the time. Once we put down W-I-N, and I told the kid, that does not stand for win, it stands for what's important now. And for those kids, it means they should give their very best effort every day to be as good as they can be. If our kids consistently strive for excellence in performance, wins will take care of itself. And over the years they have. I don't think we've ever bent the rules or done anything inappropriate in trying to approach the highest level of success we can. And as a coach, sometimes I've had a 3-6 season. I've had a couple 4-5 seasons. I have had a 5-4 season. And to be real honest with you, sometimes those seasons could be as or more satisfying than when you have a great team. And you know, competition is success-seeking point of failure. If your competition is high and your success is high, you continue on through regional play, you continue on to the Dome, and then if you win in the Dome, you are undefeated for that year. But the next year, you may not have that. We'll see how Troy does. Troy's under the leadership of an excellent coach. They had a wonderful team, but they graduated 20 out of 22 starters. They may struggle. That coach didn't get stupid all of a sudden. Things happen that change the character of what's going on. I can tell you with absolute assurance that the competitiveness of football statewide, and I was kind of involved a little bit in that whole process, has excelled since we've won classification football. Because now, it's always the best against the best. You're playing at a higher level in every game. You know, maybe you don't get that 13-game winning streak, but I'll tell you what, those kids now are better football players because they're facing heavier competition every single week, and they have to be good to be successful. So the challenges are always there. The game is fascinating. It's constantly undergoing change. Sometimes people ask me, are kids the same? I tell kids are exactly the same. You always have some committed kids. You have 80% of our kids love the game, have great fun playing it, and are out there because they just love it. Another maybe 10 or 15% are there because they know that the girls in Shenendehowa like football players. And they also understand that it's an opportunity for camaraderie and experience and all those good things. But when all is said and done, you also have a few kids that are maybe reluctant. And sometimes if you can turn one of those kids around, what else? Marissa?
Coach, obviously you've given so much to the Shenendehowa community, and they've got nothing but respect for you. Most coaches don't get to play in a stadium named after them. What has it been like for you to have the support of basically the entire community here, Chen?
It's fun on a Friday night to see the stands filled, to have all the different associated activities going on, with cheerleading and flag, the flag girls and all the dance team and all these things, and a lot of noise out there. It is fun because we will have some games that are big games where they'll be standing around the edges for high school. Not in New York State do you see that very often. Even with the very best teams, it just isn't part of
the normal ethic here. But the world has changed an awful lot. Kids are faced with some very difficult decisions today. The media, opportunities, and all of the immediate communication. And, kids have to have reasons to do academically, socialist, their social life, and certainly in the area of the kids. All gives you reason to make good choices. I love the phrase, when you choose a consequence. And I keep trying to sell that to the kids. Make sure you make good choices, because then you're going to get good rewards.
Stanley.
Oh, sorry, Stanley.
Coach, you and talking, in your career, everything is structured. Your seasons come and go, your preseasons, your in-season, your postseason, things like that. Where did this decision fall into play? When did it finally, did you decide during your preparation process or wrap-up process from last year that this is it?
I can't really give you a definitive answer, Stanley. I don't know. It became obvious. I don't have real physical disabilities. If you ask Dennis, he'll tell you he doesn't hear, he doesn't see good, but we all face that stuff as we go along. The kids know that sometimes I don't hear them. Because they'll ask me something, I'll give them some kind of stupid answer, and they'll look at me. They're at least they're patient. They'll speak up, will you? That works out. I have always felt that I never, ever wanted to give less than my total effort to this. And we were just talking about it. I don't mind getting older. I do mind getting old. And I've always said, it's simple. The kids are the same age every year. How can I get any older? But it doesn't work that way. The aging process does occur. I never wanted to go beyond my time. I was very concerned about the quality of the program, and I honestly feel very comfortable. This program right now is on a very good step. And the coach coming as a head coach has an opportunity to do a really, really good job. Every program has problems. Every program has problems. In some programs, it's a total lack of parental supervision, inner city issues, issues that we don't particularly face, but we face a lot of issues. Like, we may not have a whole lot of single parents, we do some, but we have a lot of parents where both parents work. And now they work until 5:30, 6 o'clock, kids are home at 3 o'clock. They have to be responsible. And that's a community problem. And therefore, we talk to the kids about, you don't get together and have your parties. You do what you're supposed to do. And always set your priorities and do things in appropriate manners, and the rewards are there. Patience has its own reward. You'll have your time for those things when those times are appropriate, but not now. And I think it's great that kids do that. But it is we have our issues here, but we have a lot of opportunity. And coaches need to know and understand that and take advantage of the opportunities when they're there.
Hey, Coach, I know I'm asking you to look a year ahead, but when fall of 2012 comes around, how difficult will it be for you to stay away?
Probably that first year will be extremely difficult because you might not believe this, but I'm used to being in control. That's my environment. That's an environment that I take great responsibility for. I want it to be done properly. I want it to be done correctly. I want it to be done effectively. And I don't mind interceding. I have a great relationship with my coaches, but I don't mind them arguing as long as when the arguing's done, they do as I tell them.
And that's not true. I do listen to what they say, and we do come to mutual agreement, and therefore we're all on the same page of playbook. Those things I will miss dearly. I missed when I retired as athletic director. I loved the responsibility of supervising and enhancing the physical education experience. And I thought there were sometimes when I was a better phys ed director than I was an athletic director, because you have a wider base of responsibility in that athletic director. But it all comes out. I was fortunate, terribly fortunate, to be able to continue to coaching for the number of years that I did after I retired as AD. Because I would have been horribly bored. I'm not very good at all at doing nothing. And I have to find things to substitute for.
Coach, can you take us back to 1968 and tell us your level of expectations at that time for the program going forward?
Well, it was a very interesting time. I came here, interviewed for the position in 1967. There was a ballot on the budget that year that I had interviewed to approve football. The cost of it was, I may have voted against it myself, the cost was so high. And that was done kind of with intent and purpose. And so when I made the statement, when I was offered the job, and I had said to them, number one, we were playing what they call the Western Athletic Conference, and we're playing against Gloversville and Johnstown and, way out of venue and not against the analogous teams that surrounded our area. And I thought, and they would not accept us in suburban council without a football program. And we were growing so fast, literally a school a year. We were adding staff, we were adding activities. I went from 8 phys ed teachers at my beginning tenure to 28 or 29 at the end of my tenure. And coaching positions, I think we probably had 11 sports. Now we have 36 different levels of program when you look at it across the board. That's a lot of change. The change was exciting, but the battle was interesting because we did think probably I'd be in jail for it now because we borrowed helmets and shoulder pads from Mechanicville and Nisku and had kids put them on, hand out brochures. We need your support for football. And it was strange because that budget passed like 2-to-1, football passed like 4-to-1 when it was voted on by the public. We had a great amount of support. Going in and knowing that we were totally novice, we actually went 6-0 the first year of our competition. We played 3 varsity games against 2 emerging programs, Cobleskill and Fort Plain. We played against Granville because the head coach of Granville was with me in Glens Falls on the same staff together with LeMay as the head coach. And we played other coaches that I had known when we played like a varsity B program. They would hold some of the kids out of the varsity football game on Friday night or Saturday, and they had some JVs that they were playing. They could win without their first level JV. We played them as a combination varsity B game, so we went 6-0. I knew that that was a little bit of an aberration because we went in suburban the next year and in very hefty competition, but we won. We were 2-6. We won our first game and our final game. We beat Columbia at Columbia, and we beat I can't remember the final game.
Scotia.
Yeah, it was, I think it could have been Scotia. Could have been. I knew it was suburban game. Thanks, historian. I appreciate it. That was fun, but I knew that we had a really strong group coming, and I left them together with intent and purpose. I kept them together. That was who evolved as the 72 football team, and at that time, we were only allowed to play 8 games. That was the full high school schedule, 8 games, season over. When they were seniors in 72, that was the first time we could play a 9-game schedule. So they were JVs and went undefeated. Then when they came, we went I think 6-2 that second year in suburban council. Then they came up and we went 7-1, and that one was the only game they ever lost. And then we went 9-0, 9-0, 9-0, I think 3 years in a row.
that was all you could play because they didn't initiate the Super Bowl until 1978. Strangely enough, after all the fight, as a person who was also interested on the sectional track committee, we finally got approval to play a sectional game. And the first sectional game, after all the dominance we had in the 70s, we were beaten out by Bethlehem. And Bethlehem played against, I think, CBA in the first sectional game in Old Bleecker Stadium. And we sat down. They had me upstairs as an announcer. I'm going, this isn't what I pictured for the Super Bowl, you know? But that's how it ended up. That's the story.
Any final questions? I will tell you from our perspective as the athletic department, looking at our schedule, October 7th, Friday, October 7th versus CBA will be Coach Steurwald's last regular season game here. Just in case you didn't know, he's a graduate of CBA as well too, so that's some
Incident.
So that's from our time, from the athletic department standpoint, that's a date to mark on your calendars. At this time, what we'll probably do is we'll end this portion of it. The players will be around, some of the coaches will be around. If you're interested in talking to anybody individually, please feel free to grab them, or Dr. Robinson or myself will be around. We'll kind of go from there. So we appreciate everybody coming.